What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Also in association with the Longest Yard Football Podcast, created by Insane and 70 Sports TV, giving you guys the best football commentary in the land. So I'm here to break down to you guys about the upcoming 2026 season for my favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings, of course. And so obviously, the Minnesota Vikings right now, as they're preparing for this upcoming season, are looking to try to improve upon, all the injuries and the inconsistency from a year ago. So, last season, Minnesota basically finished the regular season with a 9-8 record, and it was the first, starting season for J.J. McCarthy, who was the first round draft pick. Obviously, his rookie year, his official rookie year, was marred by injury, and he was out for the remainder of the year, which opened the door for Sam Darnold to show what he was capable of doing. And he led the Vikings 2 years ago to 14 victories, and obviously the Vikings made the mistake of letting him go. Negime Aldo Mensa basically decided to let Sam Darnold go to Seattle as a free agent and let J.J. McCarthy be the starting quarterback. And unfortunately, the Seahawks were able to take advantage of that and then went on to win the Super Bowl. And to this day, he has been second question about it ever since. But the Minnesota Vikings this year are looking to try to improve upon this year and really take the necessary steps to try to not just take over the NFC North, which is going to be very, very competitive this year, with the up-and-coming Chicago Bears making their big splash a year ago and looking to try to build upon their last season's success. And also the Detroit Lions looking to bounce back after another injury-marred regular season. And we obviously know the Green Bay Packers are always going to be in the mix, especially when you have Jordan Love and also Micah Parsons on your defense as well. So obviously there's going to be a lot of questions about the Vikings. So the main questions about the Vikings is going to be a couple of things. One in particular, the defense. Now, the Vikings made some key moves during the offseason that it sure is going to make things very, very interesting. Obviously, they've hired a new general manager by the name of Nolan Tesley, who basically was working for 13 years with the Seattle Seahawks organization and literally was one of the people that was responsible of bringing in the necessary pieces in the Legion of Boom era when he was an assistant general manager. And more importantly, too, he brings in necessary experience to try to help the Minnesota Vikings rebuild the team after last season's struggles. Now, the signings that they had a year ago, this year I should say, they signed Jamal Adams and running back Jordan Mims. That pretty much solidifies some of their key areas on the defensive side. And also Jordan Mims is also a running back who's going to try to compete for a spot in special teams. Now, the big questions are going to be for the offseason, for the season is going to be who's going to be the starting quarterback, because they also brought in Kyler Murray as well to basically compete for the starting quarterback position against J.J. McCarthy. Also, they brought in Jonathan Allen on the defensive side of the ball, Javon Hargrave, and also punter Johnny Hecker. But not worried about the punter situation. But the point is, the main question is going to be at the quarterback position, because we saw some flashes of what J.J. McCarthy could be, but unfortunately he got injured a lot and he was playing relatively inconsistent the majority of the time. And unfortunately, because of that, Justin Jefferson still had a 1,000-yard season, but it wasn't that dominating impact that he always had over the last couple of seasons. And it's indicative of the importance of the quarterback position. Now, Kyler Murray at this point, we all know there's major question marks around him, especially during his time in Arizona. There's been a lot of stories about him, not studying his playbook, not always coming in prepared. And yes, he still has a talent, but at the same time, he's always been a kind of guy that has not been taking his preparation too seriously. But in the KOC offense, it's basically a simplistic type of offense where it relies on a lot of play actions, passes into the backfield, a lot of slant motions, pretty much a bit similar to kind of like a West Coast type of offense KOC likes to run. Now, KOC has proven time and time again, I'm talking about Kevin O'Connor, who basically is the head coach of the Vikings. He's proven time and time again that he can basically rebuild some quarterbacks and turn it into productive quarterbacks. But this is going to be a very interesting situation, because we are going to see how he's going to approach Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy. Does he go back to J.J. McCarthy again and give him another shot? Or does he give another opportunity like Kyler Murray and play the similar situation as Sam Darnold as well? Because remember, when Sam Darnold came into Minnesota, there was a lot of major question marks around him. But when you put the necessary pieces around a guy like a Sam Darnold, you get the results that you've been looking for, which translated him to winning a Super Bowl a year ago with Seattle. So, and the other part here is that another big thing that's going to have to be questioned about this upcoming season is the safety position. Now, remember, Harrison Smith was basically released by the Vikings during the summer. Now, the Vikings have reported that Harrison Smith is still has an opportunity to rejoin the team if he chooses to do so. But the problem with Harrison Smith is that Harrison Smith right now, he hasn't committed to his retirement. But at this point right now, Harrison Smith is basically going to be trying to play again this upcoming season at 37 years of age in the safety position. Now, obviously the hitman has been one of the biggest, importance to the defense over the last couple of seasons. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, his play has gradually slowed down. Obviously, as you get older, your timing gets a little bit off. You don't have the same speed and acceleration that you once had as a younger player. When Harrison Smith was a young prime, the safety, he was one of the best safeties in the business, and he was basically a guy that you have to be careful in the middle of the field. But unfortunately, now the Minnesota Vikings have decided at this point that they're going to start preparing themselves for the future. So, what the Minnesota Vikings did is that they also brought in basically safety Jamal Adams, as I said before, to try to shore up the safety position and possibly take Harrison Smith's spot. But we're going to see how things shape up. If the safety position becomes wide open during training camp and during the preseason, there could be a possibility that Harrison Smith may take this as an opportunity to come back maybe for another run. Who knows? But certainly it's so that, Harrison Smith at this point right now, he's had a phenomenal career, but we just don't know if he still has any more left in the tank. And also, the fact here is that with also all the weapons that the Vikings have on the offensive side of the ball, who's going to be the one to play the quarterback position? Are you going to go with Kyler Murray, who's basically still got some talent left, but is he going to be mentally prepared to take on the challenge of having this kind of talent around him? Or are they going to give J.J. McCarthy another opportunity? Because if J.J. McCarthy struggles again in his second go-around as a starting quarterback, if given the opportunity, then the word bust is going to be streaming all over the NFL circuits. So, what I predict for the Vikings this year, I don't know if they're going to be capable of winning the division again. I do think they're going to be in the playoff mix, but I think that with the Bears completely improved their entire team, obviously with Detroit in the mix, but barring their injury issues, and with Green Bay in the mix, I do think that the Vikings could probably win maybe 10, 11 games this year and maybe sneak into the playoffs as a possible wild card. I do think that Chicago Bears have just too much younger and fresher and more dangerous talent on their team than basically the Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions. So I do have the Bears winning the division, and I do think that the Vikings could squeak in as a wild card if they play much more sounder football and win more consistently. So we're gonna find out how the Vikings are gonna look this upcoming season and how they're gonna shape up the entire 53-man roster. Are they gonna start bringing in some more younger guys to try to build for the future, or are they gonna bring in a little bit more veteran guys on the side of the defense to try to push the envelope to try to win now? So we're gonna see how things look, and I am very excited of how the Vikings are gonna look now, and hopefully they'll improve upon from last year's inconsistencies and basically become a better team out of it. So that's what I think. I think the Vikings could win 10, 11 games this year and maybe squeak into the wild card spot, but we'll see how things turn out. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, and make sure to check out all the other videos on the Longest Yard podcast here on YouTube. And with that, I'm out. Peace.